This is the top 5 meta loadouts in Warzone and Rebirth Island. The best thing is you can use all these loadouts in ranked play. Starting out with the static HV, throwing the quartermaster suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control. You do lose some aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed, but it's really not a big deal. This is the best muzzle you could potentially put on there. With the recoil gun kick being 10%, the horizontal recoil being 23%, and the vertical recoil being 10%, it's really a no-brainer. There's nothing that comes close to this. Next, put on the Auger 840 light barrel for the aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and hip fire and attack stance spread. Even though you get a reduction of recoil control at this point, we already took care of that penalty with a little bit of an addition with the quartermaster suppressor. The mobility and handling are just so good, and they're actually too good to ignore. Next, throw in the paracord grip for the horizontal recoil, sprint to fire speed, aiming out of sway, and aim walking steadiness. Now, what it doesn't say in the pros is that it actually helps with mobility as well and handling. So this is actually insane. The sprint to fire speed goes up 16%, movement speed goes up 4%, ADS movement speed 5%. The horizontal recoil 15% is a very big deal, but this is just an overall amazing attachment. Throw in the Niter model 2023 or Jack Glasses Optic, whatever really suits you. In my opinion, I like the Niter just because there's no penalties whatsoever, and the sight is really nice. Finally, I put on the no stock. If you're not really a fan of this, then you can throw on the SPR Y34 light stock, but in my opinion, this is the best choice. It takes no effort to use this gun and is absolutely amazing from short to medium range. Only thing is I would avoid long range engagements. That's really doesn't thrive there, but this is the best class setup for the static HV. Make sure you take a picture, screenshot, whatever you guys have to do. Next is the STG-44. This is still the best assault rifle in the game, even with the nerf. Throw in the quartermaster suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. Throw in the Heinrichter C70 long barrel for bullet velocity and range and aiming out of sway. The things that you lose with this aren't really important. I mean, we're not really worried about hip firing this weapon. The 28% minimum and effective damage range increase are insane, plus the bullet velocity increase is very helpful too. I see a lot of people using the Bruna Crux heavy barrel for the increase of recoil control. I just don't think it's necessary. I think it's so much better to have this Heinrichter on instead. Throw on the Corio Eagle's Eye 2.5 times unless you're a Jack Glasses Optic type person. Either way is completely fine. I just prefer the Corio Eagle's Eye. 50 round jump just to get as many bullets as possible. And finally, I put on the DR79 combo stock for the gun kick control, recoil control, and firing aim stability. You lose some sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed, and hip fire spread, but it really does not matter. The 21% increase of recoil gun kick and then 11% for horizontal and vertical are just so useful. STG has basically no recoil with this build, and the damage it does per bullet is just absolutely insane. If you're not using this, you're most likely going to lose somebody with this weapon, so you might as well have this class set up on there. It's fantastic at short, medium, and long range. So take a picture, screenshot, whatever you guys have to do with this one. Next is the no recoil SMG, the Striker. This thing got buffed massively, and it's so amazing. Throw on the quartermaster suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. You don't really have to worry about this. There's really no better alternative. Plus, this keeps you off the mini-map. Throw on the Striker Recon long barrel for the bullet velocity and range and aiming out of sway. You lose hip fire and attack stance spread, sprint to fire speed, and aim walking speed, but it's not a big deal. The 18% increase for effective and minimum damage range and 15% increase for bullet velocity are just so crucial. Then I put on the XRK Edge BW for hand stop for aim, walking speed, movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. This is amazing for mobility and handling. 6% increase in ADS speed and 5% for sprint to fire speed. 6% increase for movement speed, which is absolutely crazy, and ADS speed 13%. Put on the 48 round mag because for 12 extra bullets, you basically get double the cons. I just don't think it's worth it. Plus, this doesn't shoot super fast, so you don't have to worry about that. Finally, we put on the Lockman Recon Series stock for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, and recoil control. Now, this thing is amazing. 25% reduction of recoil gun kick and 5% for horizontal and vertical. Now, when you put this all together, this SMG has zero recoil. As you see, I'm barely holding my thumbstick down, and even at long range, this thing is an absolute beast of a weapon. So if you have not used the Striker yet, please make this class and you're going to be blown away. For all of my competitive guys out there, the SVA 545 is still absolutely meta and will get the job done easily for you. Just make sure you set it to burst fire. Throw on the Sonic Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, bullet velocity, and damage range. Now, it helps 5% and 5% for minimum effective damage range and 13% for bullet velocity. Throw on the STV Precision Barrel for aiming out of sway, bullet velocity and range, gun kick control, and recoil control. The cons are not really that big of a deal. Your ADS goes down a little bit along with sprint to fire speed, but you're not going to really think about this too much. You're going to be posted boosted up, absolutely slaying with this weapon. 12% increase for effective and minimum damage range, 15% for bullet velocity. Then throw on the 5.45 high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range, 50% range increase across the board. And even though the recoil goes down, you're not going to notice it in single fire mode. 60 round mag because you want as many bullets as possible. And finally, I use a jack glass as optic, but if you want to use a Corio Eagle's Eye, you can use that too. Once you set this single fire mode, this thing is an absolute laser. It takes no effort to use, and even at long range, it really gets the job done. So I don't know why you wouldn't actually use this weapon. It's just such an ultimate weapon. Like, it's so crazy that Call of Duty has nerfed all these weapons, but they forgot to nerf the SVA 545. This thing is still absolutely meta and probably still one of the best guns in the game. Finally, the MCW. I absolutely love this AR because you can use it as an AR and SMG. Make sure you put on the Jack Raven kit for the rate of fire, mobility, and handling damage at close range and hip fire attack stance spread. Now, I know you see the dramatic decrease of bullet velocity and range and recoil control, but trust me, that's all going to be taken care of. Throw on the Quartermaster Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. Not really a big deal. The recoil benefit you get from this is just unmatched. Throw on the Paracord Grip for horizontal recoil, sprint to fire speed, aiming out of sway, and aim walking steadiness. And this thing is just actually incredible. For some reason, there's zero cons when it comes to the MCW Paracord Grip. Next, we're going to put on the Blackout high grain rounds for no enemy skulls, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of recoil control. 15% range increase across the board, which is going to be absolutely vital for this weapon. Finally, we're going to put on the 40 round mag. The thing I love about this MCW is that this thing is actually amazing at short, medium, and long range. You saw the short and medium, and even at long range, if you're able to control it, it just gets the job done so fast. So this is an unmatched assault rifle in regards to mobility, adaptability. This thing is just an absolute killer. And this is a bonus gun just because I feel like the WSP9 is actually meta too. Throw on the Quartermaster Suppressor for being undetectable by the radar, gun control, and recoil control. Now with this, I feel like either this or the Sonic Suppressor S would be a good choice, but I lean towards the Quartermaster Suppressor just because I don't think that it needs additional bullet velocity. I think this is centered more towards the close range engagements, but we're going to get to that. Throw in the Paracord Grip for the horizontal recoil, sprint to fire speed, aiming out of sway, and aim walking steadiness. The beautiful thing is this thing is absolutely insane with this. I used to make it to where I actually had the Brune Heavy support grip, but ever since the Paracord Grip came out, I found that this was the much better choice. Plus, you get an increase of movement speed and ADS movement speed, sprint to fire speed. Next, we're going to throw on the 40 round mag. I would put on 50, but it's basically double the cons, and you don't need that for 10 more bullets. It's a slow firing weapon. Next, we're going to put on the Marauder Grip for gun kick control, firing, aim stability, and recoil control. And finally, we're putting on the no stock. This is going to have people scratching their head, but trust me, this is the most important attachment. It helps with sprint to fire speed, movement speed, aim walking speed, and aim down sight speed. The increase of mobility and handling is insane. Now, the recoil control goes down, but you're not going to notice it when you actually use this weapon. And just to prove it to you right now, check this out. Does it seem like this thing has any recoil? Obviously not. This thing is the strongest SMG per bullet. And it really gets the job done super easy. The other amazing thing is you actually fly around with this SMG. So you have fantastic movement and fantastic damage per bullet. So you have to try this class setup out. This is actually one of my favorite SMGs, and it's actually never got nerfed. It's such an amazing gun that really not many people use. So try it out for a game or two, and if you don't like it, you can just stick to the other meta SMGs, but I really think this is something special.